Super Hearts Kids Consignment Sale, and we are now on video 5 on how to prepare and tag your items for our consignment sale. So in this video, we're going to talk about books, puzzles, and games, and how is the best way to prepare and tag those. So we're going to start with books. So any type of book that you have, the best way to adhere your tag to the book is to use painter's tape. So I have blue painter's tape here already on my dual tape dispenser to be able to use for that. The only reason you don't want to use packing tape is because packing tape sometimes will peel some of the book off, some of the book cover off, and it will damage the book. Painter's tape generally does not do that on the book. So with your book, whatever book you're going to tag, you can either put the tag on the front or the back of the book. Generally, I opt for the back just so people can see the whole front of the book, because that's how they're displayed, and then they can flip it over to see the price tag. So this particular book, this is a Halloween book. I'm going to just lay it flat, and then I'm going to have my tag. And generally with books, you do not need to worry as much about the description, but of course, anytime it's always best to put the description on there in case it does come off from the book and we can match it back to that book. But I usually just lay it somewhere where it doesn't cover anything that's too important. And then I just get a small strip of my painter's tape, and you want to lay it just on the edge of the tag so it does not cover your sort number, because we want to be able to sort those out for color cardstock tags. And then of course I'm going to do the same thing on the other side of the tag as well. So that right there is generally enough to cover your tag and to keep it on the book. And that's how most of the books are done there at the sale. The painter's tape is it's good to use it for anything that you're worried about regular tape ripping anything off. So stickers on toys, sometimes packing tape will rip the stickers, sometimes on games and puzzles as well. Anything like that, anything that's papery where regular tape's gonna rip, painter's tape is the better option to use. So it is good for other stuff as well, not just books, but definitely use it on your books. Next, we're going to look at puzzles. So this just happens to be a chipboard puzzle that I have not covered and tagged yet. So I'm going to use this one to show you the example. Of course, you see that the pieces do come off very easily from the puzzle. So the best way to keep everything together is with your press and seal wrap, which I have down here under the table. So press and seal is not too crazy expensive at the store. You can get it wherever they sell plastic wrap and things. The great thing about press and seal wrap is that it's a little bit sticky on one side, and as you stretch it, it becomes stickier, and it's easier to cover your puzzles. You can use regular plastic wrap as well. Sometimes it's just a little bit tricky on trying to figure out how to get the plastic wrap on there without the puzzle falling out onto the floor or onto the table that you're working on. But generally I use press and seal. I just find it the easiest. So what I usually do is just take my press and seal, just a little bit larger than the puzzle that I'm covering. And I do this technique with all of my puzzles that are open. So Melissa and Doug puzzles, chunky wooden puzzles, even blocks that are inside of an open case. You can use press and seal for many different options. So what I do is I'll lay that on there, and then I'll take the edges and just kind of pull it so that it's tight across the puzzle, and I kind of go ahead and seal it in that one area, so then I can turn it over and my puzzle will stay together. And then I take the edges and make sure everything's kind of nice and neat. And again, this is press and seal, so when you press it, it seals it down. But you do need to use a little bit of tape to make sure that it's going to stay on there. So usually just a small piece of tape. I'll take that and put it right over the edges of the actual press and seal. I try not to stick it to the puzzle itself so it doesn't rip any part of the puzzle off. And this will just ensure that that holds onto that puzzle and you don't damage the puzzle in any way, and it keeps all of the puzzle pieces together for you. And then people can shop them and they can see that all the pieces are there and you don't have to worry about anything going anywhere. So, and then sometimes I'll just kind of take two and make sure that we press and seal down. So now that puzzle is covered and it's not going to go anywhere. So I can shake it, move it around or whatever, and all the pieces stay in place. And then from here, I'm going to take my tag. And again, it is best for puzzles to always put if they are complete. If they're not complete, you should not be selling them at the consignment sale. They're better donated. But if they have all the pieces, I would still write complete on your tag if you want to describe the puzzle, and then put it wherever on your press and seal on top of your puzzle so that it's not covering anything major, and then just cover that tag and stick it right to the press and seal. So that's a completed puzzle where you've used press and seal or the plastic wrap to wrap that. If you were to use plastic wrap, you would have to go all the way around it to get everything to stay, or you would have to use that tape again on the back. The plastic wrap just doesn't stick as well as the press and seal does. So we've got that one complete. And then another kind of puzzle that I have here, this is just a puzzle in a box. This happens to be a Melissa and Doug puzzle. This one I've already actually counted, made sure all the pieces were there, made sure the puzzle was pretty clean since it is a floor puzzle. And I've already taped everything up. So in a box puzzle, you just want to make sure that somewhere on two of the sides that you have taped it. So on this one in particular, maybe I actually haven't taped this one yet, so good, we'll go ahead and tape it. So on this one here, you're just going to tape two of the edges. So whichever two, if you want to do the top and the bottom or the two sides, I usually opt for the two sides, and I just put a piece of tape on one side and a piece of tape on the other. And that's just going to ensure that that box is held together and the box top doesn't come off and then the puzzle pieces go everywhere at the sale. Because again, you want your items to sell so you can make that money. So you want to make sure everything is together. And on this one, if we want to do a quick zoom in of our tag here, on this particular one, I have written that it is complete, and I've written the type of puzzle that it is. And I have written on here that there is one piece that is bent. And it's not bent so bad where you can't use it and it messes up the puzzle, but I did want people to know that there is a small bend in one of the pieces. So it's up to you how deep into detail you want to go, but the more detail, the better it is, and the happier people will be when they buy your item and know that that item is in good condition. And then for games are very similar to puzzles that are in the box. So this happens to be a chess and Chinese checkers and regular checkers set. And again, this one I have already prepared. I've made sure that the pieces are here. And whatever is in there, I've already written it on my tag. And then I have taped the edges. This one is already taped here. It's got the fold-in edge. Even though the edges fold in and attach to each other, I still have put a piece of tape here on both sides because I want to make sure that at the sale that this does not come apart and that pieces go everywhere. So that's just what you want to ensure that you do with anything that's in a box. Even for things like playing cards, Uno cards, Phase 10 cards, anything like that, you want to just make sure the flaps are closed on both ends and put a little piece of tape on each end of the cards. And you can use the blue painter's tape versus the clear tape if you would rather do that. And then even for things like that may come in a tin, like dominoes, for example, this is a spotted game, color smash, things like that are in little tins. These, because they do come off fairly easily, on these I would also take a small piece of tape and just put that right over the edge and make sure that that top cannot come off. And then on my tag, of course, I'm going to write on there, you know, that it's complete. So you want to make sure for all of your games and all of your puzzles that you have counted all of the puzzle pieces and that they are truly complete before you've actually tagged them. And then make sure you write that on your tag so that the person will know, and then they're not just gambling away, you know, their money on whether that puzzle is complete or not. And then the same thing with games. You want to make sure you've counted all the pieces. Are the instructions there? And if they're not, you can denote that on the tag and still sell that item, but you do need to write it on the tag. So again, people aren't just, you know, second guessing, you know, on the money that they're spending on your item. They want to make sure that they know what they're purchasing. So you want to make sure that they know also what they're purchasing. So always write on there, you know, everything, instructions, pieces, the condition, and everything like that. So that's pretty much how we tag all of our games, puzzles, and our books. One of the most important tips in this video is how to use the painter's tape. Again, painter's tape is great so that you don't rip different types of items and stickers and pages and that. So thank you so much for watching this video, and we will see you on the next one.